Hey friends, welcome to the last day of this first ever Faith to Impact mini summit. It's been so amazing, and I have this beautiful woman here with me. So my beautiful wife Amy, she's here, and we're super excited to close out this mini summit. It's been so much fun to be able to really focus on what really matters most. And one of the biggest things for me that I've taken away from this is that idea that really focusing on what matters most, and that's what this whole show is about. But as I've gone through, I'm like, okay, that's I think how I need to say things. So in the future, maybe doing some rebranding as far as the actual mini summit goes. Anyways, but just a lot of fun, and it's just been so good to really focus on those three things. Obviously, we know the three pillars, right? Faith, family, and impact. And that, if we can really focus on those things now and throughout our lives, that's where we're going to find the most happiness, the most fulfillment. And that's why we might as well just do it now. Quick story for me is that when we first had our kid, Miley, so she's our oldest. She's almost 9 now, which is crazy. But I remember when she was first born, holding her in my arms and just being super, grateful that she was there. But I kept looking to the next step. She was just a newborn. I'm like, oh, I can't wait till she crawls or she's interacting or she's talking and all these things. And I had this thought come to me, which, I believe it's from God, just saying, you got to really enjoy, every moment. You got to enjoy every stage. And so I just think this similar type of thing right now. It's if you really want to be close to your family and be true to your faith and make an impact, then just do it right now. Let's focus on that right now. And so that's why it's so fun to be able to do this and to go into here. And so like I mentioned, this is the last day of this mini summit. And so we're going to be closing things out. And then I'll, at the end, be talking about kind of next steps. But what's exciting is today we're going to be talking about the secret to staying sane and achieving what you want while raising the best kids, which is, a mouthful, but it's also really a powerful, topic that we can talk about. And we have an amazing mom of 5 here. So definitely someone that has a lot of expertise in this way. So welcome welcome to the stage, Amy. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. So maybe you could tell people something that's, a lot of people don't know about you. What, even maybe some of your friends or others, what is something that you could
So
share?
I was thinking about this actually, and that this is all about family, right? And something people probably don't know about me, except for my mom, she's probably the only one, and you, is that when I was a teenager, I didn't want to get married and have a family. I was going to do big things with my life, and I had big plans. And I remember telling my mom that I didn't want her life, and she was an amazing mom of 7. And it's just funny how life doesn't throw at you what you are expecting or even necessarily what your little teenager mind wants. Because I remember one day she said to me, she's like, Amy, it kind of looks like you have my life. And I don't know why this made me emotional, but I'm so grateful that I do and that I have the 5 kids that we have and each of their sweet spirits that have joined our family. And it's just, that's something most people don't know is that wasn't really in my plan right at first.
Yeah, well, that's really cool. And, it's okay to get emotional. I'm glad that you do, because I probably get more emotional than you do. So let's be honest.
True.
I'm the one that's crying more and things like that. But it's so, great that you're here and sharing that. And to me, it's when we're real like that, that's when we can all really benefit. And so that's awesome. And it's interesting because I feel like there's just so much that you've learned, I'm sure, over the years that you can really share with our audience here on what type of things have you done to do that. Because I think one of the challenges is that we sometimes feel like when we're parents that we can't do anything that we want to do, that we just have to give everything to our kids because we love them so much. But talk a little bit about is that true, I guess, first of all?
I think at first I thought it was true. At first I thought they have all these needs, especially when they're a baby, and thinking about our youngest Cameron and he can't, he's starting to, but he needs help eating and he needs all these things all day long. And your time really is focused around them. But as we've, had more kids and as things have grown, I think I have found that the times in our lives when we take time to fill our own cups and to do the things that light us up and make us excited and happy and in our lives, then we're so much better parents. When we give them attention, they're getting full attention and happy attention and not the resentful, I wish I could do this thing or go go run this place or do whatever. And I feel like a lot of that is tag teaming. Like a lot of times one of us will take on more of the load of the kids so that the other one can do whatever the thing it is. Like I just actually got back from Dallas about a week ago. I went and ran a race down there, and I got to go see Dustin's sister and take Miley and see a couple of her cousins. And I got to go run that race. And there's no way like I could have done that if Dustin hadn't stepped up and been like, okay, I'm going to handle the 3 older boys while you go do this thing that really like that you love and that you want to do. And, you know, we just kind of have to tag team it and make sure that we are getting that stuff that we really want to do, because I think it's important. I think it does make us better parents. And I think it makes us more present with our kids when we spend time with them. And it makes us more excited to spend time with them. I remember when Miley was little and we had taken a trip for our anniversary, our first anniversary, we were going to, just one night we went to, I guess it was our second anniversary because she was a baby. We went to stay in Salt Lake, and we were living down in Provo, and his parents watched her for us. I remember we like had a great time. And then the next morning we're just, you know, hanging out at the hotel, and we're like, oh, we should just go home. We want to see Miley. Like, we missed her a lot. And I think when you take that time to really focus on some of the things that you want to do, obviously not at the expense of taking care of your kids, but when you fit those things in, then the time that you spend with your kids, you're like more excited to be there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It gives you that energy to show up and to, you know, really give them what they truly need. Plus, I also think that it allows them to see the true you, in a sense. You know, it's like if we don't do the things that we love, then are we truly like our true selves? And so when we're doing the things that we love as well, then it allows them to see that and like, oh, wow, that's so cool. Like, it's been fun to see you doing some dance moves and stuff recently because Miley's doing this tryout, and so Amy got this video of like, well, this is what you do, and so she was going through and time like learning it and then kind of showing her, and like I just would walk out from like working and just see like Amy's just so lit up. Like, it was like she was just in her like where she's supposed to be. Anyways, it's just cool, and so that's just an example though of how we can do that. So what do you think, like, what has been helpful for you to get past the feeling of, oh, I can't spend time on myself, but changing that to be like, I actually need to spend time on myself? Like, what's helped you overcome that?
I don't know. I think that I realized that I was not showing up as a good mom after, I don't know what it was, 3 or 4 years in. I realized that I wasn't doing anything that I wanted to do. And I felt like I didn't have time for me. And I feel like I was a more frustrated parent and more upset. And Dustin can attest to the fact that sometimes I wasn't very nice, a lot of the times. And I feel like I had this, I don't even know, this realization moment, or maybe because he kicked me out the door to go do something that he knew I wanted to do, but like wow, when I spend a little bit of time on me, then I show up a lot better at home. And I think too, finding things that that I can do with my kids. Like Dustin mentioned, my daughter tried out for dance, and long time ago I danced, and so just being able to like practice that with her and do things with our kids that they enjoy doing, I think finding things that we enjoy that they enjoy can also help too, because then we're doing things that we like and involving them, especially as they get older, trying to find those moments and those things that we can do something with them that they enjoy. Not that we can't do the things that they really want to do that we don't necessarily want to do, but I think it helps to try and do things that they want to do too, that we like, because then, you know, it's funner, more fun.
Right, for
Funner's
sure.
not a word. More fun that way.
Yeah. Well, I totally agree. And I guess I feel like too, that when we have involved them in the things that we're doing, that it's made a big difference as well. Like I remember, you know, I had this YouTube channel called Will It Drum, and we had Will It Drum Wednesdays, and as a family we would sit down and watch it every week and stuff like that. And obviously I've kind of shift gears and things like that, but as we've done things like that to include them in the things that we're doing, then it's kind of just like, imagine just having some friends. You have some friends and they don't know a ton about you, but you do this thing, and so you include them. Hey, you guys should come see this or do this. You can kind of involve them in your life, and then they feel closer to you. It's a similar thing with our kids. You I think sometimes we fall into that trap of, oh, well, they're just kids and they don't really care about this. But like, we'll figure out what would be something cool that, you could do that would allow you to do that. So I think that's definitely a good thing there. And so, so maybe you could tell people a little bit about like, so right now you're doing this challenge, and how do you think that's kind of fit into
Which
all
one?
this?
The 75 hard one, or the okay? So my friend is doing a 75 hard, and she
and I guess I should just say, are you going to explain what it is?
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, you can
no,
explain
go ahead.
it.
Okay.
So the idea, and you can Google it, but and it gets a lot of flack, I found when I Googled it. But the idea is that you do these 5 things that are mentally hard, but also physically good for your body. And you do these things, and then you have to do them for 75 days. So you have to, in a row. So if you mess up, you start over. So you have to drink a gallon of water, exercise 2 times 45 minutes, which I know sounds like a lot. You have to stick to a diet. It can be whatever you want it to be. And you have to read 10 pages of a personal development book and take a picture, like a progress photo. And so I think when I first looked at it, I was like, that is ridiculous. Nobody is going to work out for 90 minutes every day for 75 days in a row. And like, I don't have time to read a book. Like, I have kids and I'm busy doing all these other things. But then I was talking to my friend, she's like, yeah, well, that's the point of it. Like you have to get beyond all those excuses and you just make it happen. And I will say, like, if you don't know about health or nutrition or exercise, you should hire somebody or get somebody to help you with those. And that's the program isn't based in that. It's just the mental challenge of it. But once I was like, you know what, I can make that happen. I can do that. And Dustin's super supportive. And so he's like, okay, well, I'll be able to help with the kids whenever, whatever, to like make the workouts work. And sometimes I have to get up at like 5 and do one, or sometimes I'm doing one at like 11 o'clock at night. But I think, like, as far as like involving the kids, is a lot of times they're like, oh, Mom, you have to drink your water still, or oh, this and that. And like, they know that I'm doing it. And really just like as a mental toughness challenge. But I feel like when you involve your kids in the things that you're doing, even if you don't think they care about it, or like yesterday, Mason was doing yoga with me, which is cute. They care about it more than you think because they care about you. And when you involve them in the things that you're doing, they become like your biggest cheerleaders of whatever it is, because they want their parents to be successful in whatever they're taking on. So I think involving them is like, it's an important way to really connect with your kids.
Yeah, no, I think that definitely, no, I think that's really good. And I think it just goes to show that, we can, accomplish the things that we really want to do. This is something you really wanted to do. And like, I want to do this challenge. And like, but anyone looking on the outside, like 5 kids and, doing 2 of these 45-minute workouts and all these other things, it's like, that's just a lot. It's a lot to do. But it just goes to show that, doing that is actually good, and it's good for them, right? They'll develop that relationship, and then you're going to show up better for them as well, because it's something that you are doing there, which is great. So
when you're teaching them too to care about important things, like when the things that you're doing are important, you're teaching them to care about those things too, like care about taking care of their body and their mind, and those things are important too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we've talked a little bit about kind of overcoming that guilt, in a sense of like, having that mindset shift of, okay, I used to think that like, I can't do anything that I want to do, but now, hey, I should and must do things that I love so that I can show up better. What are some of those, like, I mean, it's not always easy, but like, what are some of those tips that you have as far as when stress comes? What are some of those things that you can do to remember that and to kind of come back to what's most important?
I think you're a big part of that. I feel like Dustin is always reminding me that I have to take care of me in order to take care of the kids better and show up for them. And so having somebody that is constantly giving me that reminder is super helpful. I think stress is a part of life. I think that you have to find ways to handle and deal with stress. in your life. And I think there will be I think there's times too where like my kids may need more attention and I get less of it. But I think taking time every day to just reflect a little bit on like how the day went, how you showed up for your kids, what you were able to do for yourself, is good too, because then you can see like if you like sit down and like really like take a minute to like look over your day, you can see like, oh look, I didn't show up as well, but I also didn't get to do this thing that I really wanted to do. So maybe that's part of it. And maybe you don't always get to do all the things you want to do, right? Like I can't just up and take a trip because I want to. I mean, that would be silly. But like if I want to go for a run and I didn't get it in, maybe, tomorrow I'm going to make an effort to get up a little earlier to get that in because that will help me show up better. So I think taking a minute to reflect is definitely a helpful tool to like be able to see kind of like where you're succeeding and where you need a little bit of help. But I think also like having somebody in your life, whether it's your spouse or a friend or partner, whoever, that like is like, hey, you're not taking care of you, so go take care of you, because then you could show up better for your family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. I think having supporters there that can help you to do the good things that you want to do is important, for sure. So glad I can be that person, and grateful you're that for me too. So so what other things come to mind when you think about like just, I guess my thought is with like the long-term game of things, that sometimes when we focus on like this week or whatever, like sometimes it's like, or like what's happening right now that we're super stressed. But like, how has looking into the future more helped you to maybe not worry about certain things? Like maybe, some of the things the kids are dealing with, or maybe you're feeling stressed about something, but like when you take a step back and you look at like, well, hey, what really matters in life? Like, how has that helped you in those moments of stress?
So I think, and I think this is where it ties into faith for me, is that, and I was thinking about this on my walk this morning, that someday these kids are all going to grow up and go out into the world, and I want them to be like successful, resilient, like take care of themselves, human beings, right? And so I think having that picture in mind that like everything that I'm doing is with the goal of helping them to become successful and to be able to, what is the right word? Like take care of themselves and not always need somebody to tell them what to do or whatever. I think being able to see that's their future, and to realize that like they're all God's children, and I like it's my job and stewardship to like raise them, right? And like per my belief that like they all belong to my Heavenly Father, and that it's my job and my responsibility to raise them, and that I've taken that on. And I think realizing that like I remember having this moment. I don't even really remember right now what was happening, but I remember being really worried or really scared about something, and just having the spiritual like knowledge or thought that like they're my kids too. Like I care about them more than you even do, or that you even could. And so like I'm going to help you raise them, and I'm going to have your back, and I'm going to help you know how to help them. And so I think the biggest thing in moments of stress or frustration for me is the realization that like I'm not doing it by myself. And that like, in addition to having you as the support and like our partnership, that God cares about these kids, and that He is in the bits and pieces, and that He's going to help us raise them. And I think when things are happening or something happens with one of our kids that stresses me out, or, things aren't going the way I want them to, they're not helping, the house is a mess, nobody did their homework, when you have those kind of days, like the realization that like it's gonna be okay, because like focusing on what really matters and teaching them to love God and to, like be kind, I think like they're going to be successful.
Yeah. Well, I actually remember there was this day. So we were in Pullman, Washington, which is Eastern Washington, small town. Washington State University's there. I was just working there. And I remember coming home from work one day and Amy was just like super stressed out. And I could tell like something was wrong. And she just felt like, oh, the house is a mess and all these things. And like she wanted to like clean it. She wanted to look better and have dinner ready and all these things. And I like came in and was like, okay, let's take a deep breath. And just asked her, so like, are all the kids alive? Yeah, they're alive, and everything's okay. And it was just kind of like putting it into perspective, though. Like it's really like I don't care. Like, it doesn't really matter. Maybe that's a guy thing, but even still, it's like in the end, when we really look at what matters, it's like that. It's just having the house clean. Yes, it's great, and it feels better when it is, but it's not like the end of the world. It's okay that didn't happen today. Like let's just like be okay. And but I get it. Like I've had similar situations like that where I'm stressed out and like with the kids all day or for a few days or whatever, which I'm getting better at for sure. But like that first time, I remember Amy coming back and I was just like, here, take them. I'm just like, oh, I don't even know. I'm gonna go insane. But it's just like it's those moments though that I think if we really can focus on what really matters, then it allows us to do that. And I'm just glad that you brought that up because it's a big part of Faith and Impact and everything that we're doing here is really just focusing on what really matters. And I think about this quite a bit of how I want to be the dad right now. I want to spend time with my kids right now and show up for them right now. Rather than just waiting and like, being so busy at work and providing everything that I possibly can. But then they're all like leaving the house. And now I'm like, man, I missed out on that time. I got to kind of play catch up with them and like with their kid, down the line. It's like, no, we got to focus on that right now, which is why we're doing all of this. And so that's where I feel like we can truly have, the most happiness and fulfillment now and going forward as well.
Well, and I think it doesn't have to be big moments. Like you don't have to take your kids to Disneyland for them to like connect with you and appreciate you and for you to spend time with them. I mean, yesterday, Dustin took 30 minutes out of his day and came and jumped in the pool with the kids. And they were all like cheering, Dad, yay, Dad came out. And like it wasn't a huge amount of time and it wasn't a big thing, but like just that like he took a little bit of time to focus on them and then he was able to, go back and work some more and get his stuff done. But just like, you taking those small moments for the kids. And I think one of the things that we've done not amazingly, but like trying to do better at is like taking them out individually and focusing on some individual time, which I think helps them and it helps us to just kind of parent one-on-one sometimes. And so like, even if they just want to go, go to a park or whatever it is, but, have little like date nights with our kids one-on-one and take turns taking one of them out and helping them, feel important and I think when you have a lot of kids, then sometimes they can get lost and the middle kids can feel lost or the older kids can feel neglected or the younger kid, like it's just easy for them to feel like they're not getting all of the attention that they want, but giving them a little bit of targeted attention, occasionally I think helps them feel important too, which I think is an important thing for each kid to feel important.
Yeah. Right, for sure. And I also think along with that, one great way to do that is like, okay, your phone, take this, put it down, put it somewhere like where you're not going to touch it so that you can really focus. And I certainly still working on this myself, but something that like when I've done that and said, okay, I'm going to like last night or I guess maybe it wasn't, I don't know, one of these nights, putting the kids to bed, like put it up on a shelf and then just go downstairs and like just totally be with them because when that like sometimes that phone can be so distracting and even just like checking one thing really quickly just takes your mind off of them and then all of a sudden like you're more frustrated and it's like that type of thing. Really just that targeted attention, like you said, I think is really powerful. Just like really focusing in on them is super important. So
when you teach them too, like what's important, right? Your actions, they like mimic and copy your actions. So if you're down there like putting them to bed and like on your phone or like watching a movie with them and on your phone, which I totally have been guilty of, both of those. But like, I think when we can say like, you're more important than the phone or you're more important than the dishes or whatever, and give them that attention, then we're teaching them what's important. We're teaching them that our kids are important. And then someday when they grow up and have families of their own, they're going to remember, oh, my dad thought we were important and he thought the kids were more important, or, whatever it is. I've been reading a book called The Big Leap, which I highly recommend. It's amazing. But I was just reading last night in it, and it was talking about time and how that you have time for what you want to do. And so if you say, like, if your kid wants you to come watch them ride their bike or play chalk with them, and you say, oh, I don't have time, and you're doing the dishes, the message you're sending to your kids is these dishes are more important than you. Because if they came in, the analogy in the book was, if they came in with like their foot bleeding because they got hurt, you're not going to say to them, oh, I don't have time to take care of that right now, I'm doing the dishes. Like, you're going to take care of the like foot, you're going to take care of your kid, right? So I think it's important for us to remember that, like, the things that are important to them, and like going out to watch them ride their bike might really be important to them. And even if the dishes have to wait for an hour or a day to give them that attention, I think that, like, those are the moments that they're going to remember. And then they're going to remember, like, that they were important. Mm-hmm. And I think that you can still get your house clean. I feel like this summer I've decided that we're not going to have a huge mess every day, but I'm not going to be the one doing it all either. Like, we're going to involve the kids. So we made this big chart, and they're like 5 things that they have to get done, like their job and clean their room and read and take a shower, because sometimes kids don't want to take a shower, but they have these things that they have to get done before, and they just can't even ask to do electronics or to go swim until those things are done. But as soon as they have them done, we give them the time to do the things that they want to do. And also, trying to like teach them to be good stewards of electronics and their use of them and their time on them, and do other things like go play outside and go swimming or go to the children's museum that's in town, or, different things that they would enjoy doing that don't involve electronics, but that they get their jobs done first. And we're only 3 days into it, but the house was clean when we went to bed last night. And my 5, almost 6-year-old got up this morning and did his reading without, complaining about it, and just got his stuff done because he wanted to have his hour on the Switch. So, I think, where was I going with that? That focusing on doing the things with them that they want to do, but also involving them in the things that are important to the family. Mm-hmm. So if having a clean house is important to you, which I think if it is, that's awesome. If it isn't, that's fine too. But if having a clean house is important to you, and that, to me, that lowers the stress level in the home, and it helps me to feel calmer and happier. And so I think I show up better when I have a clean environment. But involving them in that and teaching them, look, this is important. We're going to take care of this stuff, and then we can go do the things that we want to do. I feel like it's teaching them to be good stewards of their time as well.
Yeah. Well, and I think you bring up a really good point too, because I think kids need that structure, and they a lot of times a visual thing. If you think about it, at school, they have all sorts of charts and, visual things on the wall and that type of stuff. And so you do a great job with that. And I'll have to take a picture of it and share it with everybody. But here's the cool, massive, poster board that has the days, and it kind of the jobs rotate every day. But anyways, it's just, I think it's really clear to them, and they like it, that oh, cool, this is what I do. And so that's, I think can help with some of that stress too, because I think a lot of times our kids, anyone's kids just may not understand. We just feel well, of course, having a clean house is super important. So why is this messed up and all these things? But it just doesn't really make sense to them. Whereas if you have this chart, you have something visual there that they can see, then it makes a lot more sense. And so I think that's maybe part of why it's been great. So
yeah, and I think we found too that rotating their jobs every day, giving them something new to do, to where they don't feel like they have to do the same thing every day for a week or a month. And also then they don't just skip it because they're going to do it the next day. They get it done because that's their day thing. Yeah. I think is
it's been pretty hilarious because certain jobs were the worst. It's loading the dishes was so bad, but taking out the trash was super easy. So everyone was super excited about that one. But ironically though, as it seemed like sweeping and loading the dishes were the worst. But ironically, some of the kids that they'd be sweeping oh, this is so hard, I hate this and that, and then they would get to I want to do like loading the dishes or something. Then they get to loading. They're just, oh, this is so hard. It was just so funny to watch that. But no, I think it has been really good to rotate that. So then it's like, oh, you just do it today and you're good. And then you do something else.
Well, and there was a talk from church that was basically like that when the kids complain about something hard, like good. It's good that it's hard. It's good that you learn the value of hard work. And I think that's something that I think that as parents, it's important to teach our kids. Yeah. And I think and raising successful kids, it's important to teach them to work hard and the value of work, but then get your stuff done and then you can play. And I remember my mom told me that she had a friend when she was growing up that would go boating a lot and that she got to go with them sometimes, but they would always get up and do all the jobs until like 11 o'clock in the morning, and then they'd go play the rest of the day on Saturdays. And I think that once you teach your kids, you get in that rhythm, they know, like, put in the work and do the fun things afterwards. And I feel like that's going to help them be more successful as adults, because as an adult, you have to go to work and make the money and do the thing before you can go play, right? You have to get your stuff done first before you can go do what you want with your time. And so I think teaching them that right from the start is important too. And I think that will help them, helps them in their lives as they grow older.
For sure. Love it. All right. So Amy, what would you say is, kind of just wrapping things up here, is like, what's like one tip that you would just share? If you could just say one thing, to our audience.
One thing. I think this is where my faith ties in again, the biggest thing is to care about them on a spiritual level and realize that when you do things out of love, then they, are more successful. And if you love your kids and you focus on that love, it's easier to not get upset when they dump water all over the bathroom floor, or when they, make a huge mess, and to realize, try to see the world through their eyes. And I think that's kind of the same thing, that when you really love them and you're really trying to see things the way they see them. I remember a quote that I read once that said, if you want them to come to you with the big things, you have to care about the little things, because to them, they were all big things. And the idea that their little brains care about this set of things, right? And you may say, well, that's so silly and simple and kind of ridiculous that that's worrying you so much. But to them, it's a big deal. And I feel like maybe God does the same thing with us sometimes, where we're super stressed or worried about whatever this thing is, this next podcast that we're going to launch, or this job opportunity that we want to get, or, whatever it is that maybe sometimes he realizes how silly and simple that is in the grand scheme of life and of eternity. But because he cares about us, he cares about what we care about, right? And so I think and it's because he loves us unconditionally in a way that we can't even imagine. And I feel like when we try to channel that love and to feel that for our kids, then everything we do and every way we respond is better. And then we also are able to take care of them better, and then we have the time to spend on us. So I think, I guess my one thing is to really just try to see your kids through the eyes that God sees us.
Mm-hmm. That's cool.
And I think that if you can do that, the rest kind of works itself out. If you put your focus there, then all the little things of the job charts and the homework and the learning to keep your voice calm and all those things, it's a lot easier I feel like they're not easy. It takes a lot of consistent work to keep, to keep learning and growing and doing a good job as a parent. But when you keep God and Christ at the center of helping you, and you focus on the love that you have for your kids and seeing them through his eyes, it just makes everything a lot easier and a lot more doable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's so good. I love that. Thank you. Appreciate you saying that. And thanks so much for coming on here. It's been an honor to have you on, close out this first ever mini summit for Faith to Impact. And I just, appreciate you as a wife and a mom. And I think what's really cool to me is that, with Faith to Impact, like we've talked about, there's three core areas: your faith, your family, and impact. And one of the big things that I really want moms to know, especially, is that impact, and even dads too, is the impact should really be at home too. Like that's really where impact should start. And maybe you branch out at some point, but maybe not. Like if you simply, are true to God and you're close to your family and you make a massive impact at home, then like, that's amazing. Like, don't discount that.
Well, because you're raising the next generation, right? Of people and humans to go out into the world and make an impact there, right? So you're kind of like raising the next generation of impactors, if that makes sense.
We got some kids like sending us notes or something under the door, so we'll be here. We'll be done in a minute, but yeah, and just thank you, Nicole, for your comment here, and Amy for sharing your story. So it's awesome, really appreciate it. And yeah, so I mentioned in the beginning, just like kind of next steps. So obviously, this is the last day for this mini summit. It's kind of sad. I'm like, man, I'm gonna like cry or something. But Amy already did a little bit of that, so I guess I'll not have to do that. But no, it's been so fun to bring together these amazing speakers and to really focus on what matters most. And so I think I mentioned this on day one about having a membership around this. And really my goal is to just help people to focus on what matters most, right? For us right now to come together and to focus on family, to focus on our faith, to focus on impact, making a massive impact in this world. And so that's really what it is. And really the next steps for that is I'll have an email going out fairly shortly after this. And next week on Wednesday at, I guess the same time, so it'll be like 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern, that I'm going to have like a Zoom call with like a feedback session, because I'd love to really get your thoughts on, what type of things do you need? Like, what do you need that's going to help you focus on what matters most? Because I just really want to, better understand that. And so I'll be doing that and then also sending out a survey. So if you're interested in that, would definitely love to have your help and your feedback, because I just really do want to make a massive impact on the world in this way so that we can focus more on faith, family, and impact, because I just feel like that's what truly matters. And so anyways, really looking forward to that. And so I guess be on the lookout for that email. If you haven't signed up for the summit, then just go ahead and, you can send me a DM or comment on one of the videos and we'll get back to you on that. But certainly just excited to get your feedback on that. And then next month we'll have another mini summit coming up. So we have a lot of the speakers already lined up. So excited to be able to get that announced in the next couple of weeks. So watch out for that too. It's gonna be a lot of fun. But yeah, thanks again, Amy, for coming on. And thank you especially for paying attention and for being a part of this mini summit, because the fact that you're here shows that you truly care about what matters the most in life. And the more that we can focus on that, the happier we're going to be now and in the future. And so anyways, thanks again. Really appreciate it. And we will